It is a beautiful process that in a lot of ways feels like nature was pushing us towards making beer from the beginning.
Trophy Brewing came together through a love of craft beer.
There was a lot of interest in craft beer and brewing. There was a lot of home brewing activity going on in the area, but the market itself really hadn't developed.
My partner Woody and I opened our first bar in 2009, and that was called the Busy Bee Cafe. At the Busy Bee Cafe, we were celebrating craft beer from all over the country, all over the world, actually.
And you could get special beers that were either being produced by new American craft breweries or even, specialty imported beers. And it was just a really special place if you really were a craft beer enthusiast at the time.
What we were doing before that, we were doing collaborative beers with other breweries from across the country, across the state, to come up with different flavors and new ingredients and new processes to kind of show off beers that were being made in other cities, states, and countries.
And they had got it in their heads that they wanted to open a brewery.
And what we wanted to do was kind of start to tell the story of craft beer in North Carolina.
Eventually came an evening where I was invited to have a few late night beers with them, and we were sitting around there and they kind of proposed the idea, hey, do you want to be our brewer if we do this thing? So I go home and I tell my wife, and she kind of shoots up in bed and says, you got to try to do that. The original location that we were looking at was actually this older trophy shop that was in the middle of downtown Raleigh. And I think the daydream went something like we would show up and let's find a deal and let's move into here. And as an homage, as a trophy shop, we would name the brewery Trophy Brewing Company.
So when we first opened, what we did is ask all of our friends and family who were anxiously awaiting our brewery to open to bring us a trophy, and then we would give them a taste of our beer.
We could have lots of beers that could be named after trophies, and we could have tap handles that were made with trophy parts. So we kind of took the idea, landed in another location where we thought was more appropriate for the brewery, and that's kind of how Trophy got its name.
I got most excited about with craft beer was kind of seeing what beer could be. Beer could be anything. Beer could have crazy ingredients, or it could be super traditional. All those things were an opportunity to for me to learn more about beer and the process and the people that make that beer and the flavors that could come out of a beer through different ingredients, and that's really what made me fall in love with it.
I think we've clocked something like 800 unique recipes over our time, and this is the fun part, right? We're always doing a recipe, getting to the end of that recipe, drinking the beer, usually enjoying the beer. This is great, but I wonder if we should have done this. Wonder if we could do this. Next time it'd be cool to try this. Conversations in the brew house, conversations at the bar, conversations around pizza with friends lead to the next beer, and just that number just keeps kind of going up as we move forward.
So working with local farmers to buy blueberries, blackberries, peaches, cherries, North Carolina grown malt. Those are the opportunities to show off the flavor of the place in which we're making beer.
We are in an amazing part of the world. We have the farmers market right down the road from us. We regularly work with local farmers from Wake County and beyond to procure fruit, all types of things, herbs, and of course everything for the kitchen as well.
Trophy on Morgan Street, where we are right now, is a food and beer experience. We always thought about Trophy Brewing being your neighborhood spot where people would come after work, grab a beer, and see what's new on the draft list. We've really seen people from the neighborhood embrace it and become a meeting spot. When my partner and I were talking about what Trophy could be like, we always thought that the perfect meal for us when you're traveling, or even when, on the night when you're out, would be a really well-made beer and a really great pizza. We always thought that those two flavors could complement each other. The beer could be an expression of the season, could be an expression of carbonation, could be an expression of barrel aging, something that's really unique that can play off all these crazy flavors that we integrate into our pizza. Our pizzas always have local components involved. We work with local farmers to buy anything from our greens to some grains to charcuterie or cured meats to use as a topping. Our big brewery is over on Maywood Avenue, and that's the big spot. That's where all the beer's brewed. It is the true taproom experience. We work with a bunch of different local food trucks. You come into the tap room, you can see all of our beers on draft, and you look to the right, you get a good panoramic view of the brew system. You'll see brewers driving by on forklifts, putting together malt recipes. You'll see people working on the canning line, making sure the beers are looking good, being canned correctly. You'll also see folks climbing on tanks, cleaning tops, and making sure that our brewery looks great. Then we have State of Beer, which is our bottle shop on Hillsborough Street, right downtown. It is a marriage of craft beer, natural wine, and a full-service kitchen. Our goal there is to kind of give somebody a casual experience where they can come in and pick a special beer out of the cooler, grab a bottle of wine to go, and then have a sandwich either there or take it with you to go as well. We have a huge patio on the front of that building, and we actually get people from both sides of town kind of walking by, spending time with us there. One thing you'll notice in all of our locations, our goal is always to have bike parking. So we work with groups like Oaks and Spokes to kind of design parking for bikes and make sure that they're accessible and usable for folks that are riding bikes. In this location in particular, we have over 100 solar panels on our roof right now. So we are slowly seeing some of the returns of an investment like that. We also have about 1,000 square feet of green roof, which is helping us keep conditions in our foodie room right there. As you can see, it's got a ton of glass, but that green roof actually helps keep temperatures low in the summer and also keep them at a pretty temperate rate in the wintertime. What we do with our mash from every one of our brews is actually sent to a second location. So we work with 3 to 4 different local farmers who will come and collect our mash, our spent grain, and then use that feeding cattle, or even we have some artisans that we work with that make like dog biscuits or dog treats, things like that, so the grain doesn't always go to waste.
Sometimes we talk about our epiphany beer, and the epiphany beer is the beer that we drink that makes us realize that, wait, this isn't my father's beer. This is something different. This is a work of art. I now see how many different things beer can be.
There's so much opportunity to brew different styles of beer influenced from all over the world, but we could brew it here through a North Carolina lens.